Hey everybody, welcome to the Women Unfiltered series, Spicy Saturday. I'm your host, Tabitha.
I'm your co-host, Lauren. We are on the roller coaster of womanhood, all unfiltered.
From our overrated ovaries to, yes, dating peaks and disasters.
No topic is off limits. Join us on the first Saturday of every month for our candid combos.
Unfiltered advice and plenty of laughs as we navigate the good, the bad, and the downright chaotic moments that make up our lives as women.
Get ready to embrace your inner spice and enjoy the ride.
Hey guys, welcome in a Little Bit of Life podcast right here with your host, Little. We are doing our Spicy Saturday series. We did not bring this to you last month because, let's be real, we're all so busy that I don't even think we can see straight. I feel like that's all of us. So, Lauren, it's good to see you and catch up. We are going to get spicy today in today's episode. We're talking female health and we're talking about just everything because I have an episode coming up really shortly this month where we're talking about our health as a female, but what Big Pharma is doing, what products we're using on our skin in the beauty industry, what products we're putting into our bodies, and everything and anything in between. So I'm going to ask straight out the gate, when we say the name female health, what would you rate yours? 0 being you're in the dumpster fires of the depths of you know where, or 10 being you are beyond healthy. Where do you think you'd be?
I mean, how I feel and what people probably think looking at me is a whole nother ball game. But I feel like I'm a 5. I feel like I'm a 5. I feel like I'm halfway. Only because I've been taking it upon myself of doing supplements and trying to exercise when I can, and all the things. But yeah, definitely there's a lot more work, that I'm having to do behind the scenes with doctors and stuff, as you know. But yeah, definitely a 5. What about you?
I don't know, because earlier I thought I was a 6 maybe, and then it's you kind of get ahead of the game, and then it's obviously with us with autoimmune, and then just seasonal changes, and even the upcoming episode I have talking about your partners. Your female health, I feel is an absolute roller coaster of WTF is going on with me. I would say now I'm maybe a 4, maybe. But I'm also in this weird detox cleanse. I don't know if you feel this way with women's products, in general, things that we're eating, supplements, foods, beauty products. I just feel my body, I'm getting the ick. I'm just contaminated. I feel I need a deep detox, just reset cleanse.
That's funny you say that because I actually just got onto this brand. Sponsor me if you want. Shop Organic Olivia. She has a podcast too, but I apologize, I haven't listened to it. But I've been getting into her products lately because they are very PCOS, endometriosis conscious. And since I have endometriosis, it's you have to be very careful. Especially you brought up autoimmune too. There's certain things that the average person can take as a supplement versus another person. If you have autoimmune, there's certain things even ashwagandha I was taking for a long time can cause your body to go into an autoimmune flare. So I started taking hers, and she has this thing called ParaPro or something, and it actually is a lot of natural things in it, and it'll detox you. But since I just got back from traveling and stuff, I'm holding off on it. So I'm maybe I'll do it the first of the year, detox myself the first week or so and just get through it, but holding off on it. But yeah, I definitely feel that because I drank a little bit when I was in Louisiana. I'm not and with autoimmune, that's not usually our best friend. But I wanted to have a little bit of fun with the so yeah.
I don't blame you. I think a lot of us are in this weird, it's the holidays, and that's why I wanted to do this, because I think we get really down on ourselves with our health, and female health also is not just physical health, right? It's emotional, it's mental. And I think we all get really just consumed by the holidays of these checklists and these to-do things. And it's I have to do this, and I have to stretch myself across every person in my family. I have to bite my tongue with certain people. I have to get gifts for certain people that I really could care less. And I think that we really stretch ourselves thin, but it's also on the flip side of how we're feeling physically, what we're putting into our bodies. And I think it's really crucial to talk about, obviously, the beauty industry and what products are out there and being pushed out there for women, because it's not something that I think we're really talked to or educated as like younger girls of. I mean, I remember we were raised when like Victoria's Secret came out, right? Like Les Wexner talked about what the female body image should be. Just recently, in like the past 5 years, they first came out with like plus size models. Well, now when you're looking at some of their models, they're what we now consider a healthy woman. Like, I remember going in there and thinking, there's no way that a person over the age of 18 fits in a small. Like, this is like a baby gap. Like, what is going on here? And I think now, like, looking at stuff like as a kid and like growing up, our teens are getting really into like Bath and Body Works products, right? And like perfumes and things that are highly fragranced that are actually really bad for your health as a female. So now I'm like intrigued by this company that like you just talked about, because now I'm like I said, I just want like this detox. I feel like everything is like all full of chemicals, different ingredients that we can't even explain, which makes me wonder, like as a female, like what is that doing to your inside out? Like no wonder we have problems.
Oh, I have so much I could say about that. I mean, I was guilty. I was that girl that was obsessed with fragrances and getting them until I was like even into my early 20s. Funny thing is, behind the scenes, I was dealing with being sick a lot. I was having female issues. And like, this is all prior to diagnosis. And I was even put on birth control on and off for years, which I wanted to read something on that real quick because we could take a dive on that, which kind of might be controversial, but I like to bring up a little things that keeps.
Yeah, I think we should.
Yeah, I mean, and again, I'm going to speak from personal experience, but I'm also going to read something that's actually from the American College of Obstetricians and Gynecologists. They have admitted as much in its practice bulletins and other communications, 2010 bulletin to be exact, on endometriosis as plain as day. There are no data to support use of medical treatment to prevent progression of the disease. So there's a lot of doctors and a lot of people out there saying like, oh, well, if you just go on birth control, like that's going to get rid of your endometriosis. Or now, well, they used to say it would get rid of your cyst and endometriosis. Now they're trying to be a little more politically correct by saying it will suppress your symptoms. But the thing is, that's not a fact, not for every woman. And in my case, it made me worse, unfortunately. I actually ended up with acne, which I never even had as a teenager. It didn't improve my periods except for like making them lighter, but I was still like emotionally erratic to the point where I've had ex-boyfriends even be like, maybe we'll do condoms. Like it. They're like, I don't like this, it's not that great. So I just want people to know that, like, if you're going to go on birth control, be aware of the side effects, because every medication comes with side effects. You're aware, I'm aware, but they actually don't talk about the birth control side effects enough. And it really saddens me because not only will you maybe have the opposite effects like acne, like I did, and maybe emotional, it depletes your body of nutrients in your gut, which our gut is the most important thing for our health. And I think that should be known as like, yes, maybe you don't want to have a kid and you should protect yourself, but be aware to maybe go on a probiotic or make sure that you're eating healthy. Like otherwise, yeah, I think maybe I could have avoided some of the issues that I have now, like even celiac, because that's a gut, based thing, but it's still a full body disease, as you know.
I think all of us are starting to get really loud, which I love on social media platforms as women, of like, this is what Big Pharma has told us that we need in our bodies. This is also what our doctors are getting paid by Big Pharma to like pump and push this into our bodies. And there was this like huge thing about birth control. And I remember like, I always was like, had the birds and the bees talk. I remember like my mom giving it to me. Like the first time I was like laughing. Sorry, Mom, if you're listening, but I laughed. I was like, this is so stupid. Like, I don't even need to hear this. But I remember associating birth control with, if you take birth control, it means you're never going to have a baby. Like And I've always had this like cringy panic feeling of like, I don't want to have children. Like, I don't want that. But then in like my college years, I remember like my roommate in college, loved her to death. She was like, oh yeah, like I just don't want to have a period because it's just a pain in the ass. Who wants to have that? So I take birth control so I don't have a period. So it's like these things that became to like stack and stack and stack. But like when you get on birth control, they do not go hand you a pack and say, okay, here's all the things that are going to happen to you because of this, 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 and this. Because our brain and our gut, like I say in the next episode coming up in December this month about just health in general, our brain and our gut are interconnected. And so what we put into our body obviously is affecting everything, right? Our respiratory system, our entire GI system. And it's still affecting our periods, which I think is interesting because as women, like all of my girlfriends you combine, I swear we should just be in like this audio group chat of like, did you poop today? Did you cramp today? Did you bloat today? Did you get a migraine today? But it's interesting because to me, looking at that, like there's a big, huge issue because we're all in the same age bracket. We all started like the bad birth control that like first came out. You know, we tried that. We've been vaccinated, which is like a whole other wormhole, right? And then we've all like had healthy food growing up. I mean, my grandparents grew their stuff in the garden to like processed food to now like it makes me wonder, like, I wish we could just have like a sci-fi machine that we could see what our insides really look like because like you and I, we have a lot of the same symptoms. And I feel like now in the world of medicine, we're advocating for ourselves. We're just like crossing shit off the list of like, could it be this? I don't know. Could it be this? Yes. Is it because of? And that's my thing now of like this massive detox of like, I want to get everything out and like start from the ground up. And that comes with like everything, like GYN related, nutrition related, exercise related, because like I feel like we're all on kind of the same roller coaster ride and we're just like crossing shit off the list.
Yeah. It's a lot. Like I've said this before and I'll say it again. Like when you have medical issues, like it feels like a second job that you didn't ask for. However, I will say like it's taught me so much though. Like I feel like now I know more about health than the average person, you know, because of everything, which is like a double-edged sword because I'm like, I really wouldn't, you know, care to know as much as I know of experiences, which I know you can relate is like, but you know, there's so much to learn. And I mean, what's even crazier, you mentioned the food, like there's young girls starting their periods at like 9 or 10 years old. Like that was not normal. Like growing up, it was like 13 to 15, maybe 16 the latest. Now they're going into like before their teen years, having, you know, full boobs before they're 16, you know, and all this stuff.
Yeah.
That's crazy, people. There's obviously hormones in our food because like that didn't exist when I was a kid. Like there was maybe one token girl who was a little more blessed, you know, out of the group, but it was like unreal. And then most in the Georgia where I grew up, like they weren't trying to really give you birth control like right out the gate. But by the time I was 17, you know, it was kind of like, well, you're legally, you know, enough to have sex and stuff. So they're like, here you go. But they were also like advertising it like it will lessen your periods and acne, you know, relief. But I do think, you know, I don't know. It just comes down to like anger, frustration, and education that I wish that the medical system could have done better when we were growing up. But now I feel glad that people are open to it and people are willing to learn. Because now I think people are waking up to it. Like, why do we have so many autoimmune diseases? Why do we have so many chronic illnesses? Like, I feel like doctors should be like, whoa, like what's going on? Let's be more preventative because they just want to be like Western medicine. But it's like, you know, there should be a mixed approach. I'm very pro integrative medicine, which means both Eastern and Western. And I think if people took both approach, because I think medication and surgeries and stuff, that does need to come to play when it's needed. But I also feel like people should look at like, what am I eating? What am I doing as, you know, my lifestyle? Am I working out? Am I, you know, blah, blah, blah. But I do have to admit, I've had some difficulty with working out lately with my health because my body will just have muscle weakness lately. It's like driving me nuts because I'm used to being super fit, but hey, that's a whole nother box.
But that goes into the whole mental health too, because if you can't do something that you used to be able to do, or you're in return, your body doesn't look like it used to. I think we're all going through that. I mean,
Yeah.
I just ordered a brand new pair of jeans and I was like, oh, this is my size. And I got it from the TikTok shop. I'm like, oh, this is my size. And it came and I'm like, this is not my size. And then I like got really down on myself. But then I realized like, it's interesting because women are starting to put that on. There's a lot of videos about it. Like, you know, this is a friend of mine, Tara, TC Huck, awesome creator on social media platforms. And she did a video where she was like, in this jean, I'm a 9. In this size jean, I'm a 4. In this size, I'm a 5. In this short, I'm a 2. And it was like interesting because I think as women, we get so down on ourselves on a number, and that's like what we focus on, or like how we look like in the mirror. I mean, I've had body dysmorphia issues like my entire life. And I've always looked at myself of like, people will comment on social media, right? And they're like, well, like, I wish I had your hair or your lashes, or I wish I had this, or I wish I looked like you. And like, I have always looked in the mirror and I know that it's a mental condition. Do I help that? Probably not. But like, I look in the mirror and I'm like, oh my God, I look like a 200-pound person, which is like mind blowing. But I know that like, that is also part of female health and mental health, because like, that is something that affects so many women. And like, we just think there's something wrong with us. And like going into partners, I mean, I dated men that were like, what is wrong with you? Like, why won't you eat? And it leads to eating disorders, right? Like, you don't look 200 pounds. What's your problem? Or then when they get angry, right, then they call you names, or, you know, if it's a toxic situation, which leads to like female health as well and your body image. It's all like interconnected.
Also, that you brought up a great subject. People need to be more sympathetic or empathetic if they can actually relate, but it's like to that struggle. You know, I can't remember if you have PCOS or endometriosis as well, but yes. Okay, so naturally having conditions like that will make your body fluctuate. And I've had issues with my mom. Sorry, mom, if you listen to this and you call out, but I've been very hurt by like times where I'm fluctuating and my mom will be like, oh, yeah, you need to be working out, or, oh, now you're too skinny. And it's like, this has been my life. Like, I just fluctuate because the whole, you know, and I try my best to balance it, but it's like birth control will actually make you always gain weight. That is a known fact. But I do feel like people need to be more conscious of that. Like, hey, you know, your hairline, because like my mom made a comment about my hairline like the other day, and I'm like, oh my God, what? I'm taking stuff to help, you know, like I have health issues. It's like they forget, you know, like, hey, I have a battle that I'm working on. So I do say this to the people listening, like, you know, if you see somebody that maybe is normally skinny and they look like they've gained a little bit of weight, maybe think for a second that there might be a inner battle mentally or physically or both that they're dealing with, and just to be more sympathetic to that, you know, because they're already thinking it. Believe me, the person is already thinking it. They don't need that extra reminder is all I'm saying.
My mom's opposite. I mean, we'll go shopping a lot and there's like a cute little boutique here in town we'll go to. And I never used to try stuff on. I never had to. And now I'm like, I know exactly. And I hope some women will listen to this, because this is obviously our episode for women. That's why we do this series. But there's a certain way. I don't know if I like my shirts to fit a certain way. Don't like them to be too baggy where I like look like a linebacker, like trying out for the freaking NFL. But I don't like it to be too tight, because like that, when I'm having symptomatic episodes, like I don't like how I look. And so I'll try stuff on and my mom's like, oh, that looks great on you. Well, in my mind, I'm sitting there going, okay, but how is this going to fit if I have like an episode? Or how am I going to feel when I'm bloated? Or how am I going to feel when I'm this or that? So I'll say like, no, or I don't like this, or I feel fat. And like, she will always, love her to death, but she's a great mom. And she'll always say, you're not fat. That's ridiculous. Okay, but what you see fully clothed and what I see is different. And like, I get where you're coming from of like, I can't work out. Like, I have so many medical issues going on right now.
Yeah.
And I know there's a lot of women listening that may say like, you come up with excuses of, oh, the winter's coming and it's cold and I don't want to drive in the snow and the ice, or I feel like a lot of us too, as women, we just get to the point, like we just give up. We're just like, fuck this. Like, I am not going to push myself because I'm not physically changing, which also affects our mental health. Because if you're not seeing fast acting results, you just quit.
Yeah. And I also think you bring up another point is like toxic positivity, where it's like, hey, that person their intentions are good, but it's also like, your body, what you are meant to feel or look like. And I, I've struggled with that too. That's why I made the comment in the beginning of like, people look at me. Like I have friends do the same thing where they're like, oh, but you look great. You're fine. And I'm like, this is not my usual. Like, especially when I go to the doctor and they weigh me and I'm like, that doesn't look like what I see. Like, I've had that happen a couple times recently where I go to the doctor and they weigh, because I don't weigh myself at home because I also have, I have a little bit of obsessiveness. So, people, if you can weigh yourself at home on a regular basis and you don't go crazy over it, I respect you, but I will obsess about it because I'll be like,
I go crazy.
oh, you go crazy too. That's how I am. I like my past roommate when I first moved to LA had one, and I was like, oh, this is not good. Because what I would do is get competitive and challenge myself. I'd be like, okay, this is what I weigh this morning. I want to weigh 5 pounds less by the end of the day. And so I'd be pushing myself to just, it's a slippery slope. So if you can avoid that, don't do it. And that's why I don't weigh myself at home. But it was really crazy and hurtful to go to the doctors and be like, wait, what? That's what I weigh? Like, my friends are telling me I look fine. Like, I thought I was fine. But then you also brought up another thing about clothes. Like, I don't even like trying on clothes anymore. I mean, I never really have been a big trying on clothes person. But when I do, it's like, I think the same thing. I'm like, is this going to be comfortable when I have a bloating flare? Because those are the worst, people. I just want to say, if you ever get endometriosis, like GI bloats, like, it's actually one of the symptoms I wish I could do without. I'll take the headaches sometimes. I hate them. Hate them so much. But the bloating is the worst because you'll be wearing something and then all of a sudden you're like, oh no, oh no. It's just like, I don't know. I feel like, well, I look pregnant. Like, without a doubt, I literally look pregnant. I've had people even ask me, like, how far along are you? Like, it's horrible. So yeah, buying clothes right now is tough. So I guess I'm going to take advantage of the whole, it's winter, I'm wearing sweatpants. Whenever I can.
As I'm in pink sweats right now, like, I don't get it.
And I'm wearing stretchy pants, but stretchy pants. I would wear maternity clothes right now if I could, just to be protected. But that is something women deal with. Men, if you are listening to this, like, you're probably like, yeah, I'm so glad to be a man for a second.
I want to straight up give you props because, and I'm going to try not to cry because, we're on hormonal birth control. We're just emotional and it's before Christmas. And I'm like in this morning of my 1-year memorial of my dog. So like, if we cry, we cry. Fuck it, right?
Yeah.
I want to give you props because you have been so open and so vulnerable. And I just got lashes done on your post because you'll show what you look like when you're bloating, right? And you'll show like, this is what I look like. This is what I'm dealing with. Because for those of you that have been on her social media posts and have just been a shitbag, that pisses me off so bad. You have gotten the absolute negative worst feedback when you're simply trying to talk about a female health condition, endometriosis, that is affecting so many women. And you're showing the good, the bad, the ugly, and everything in between. And like, people on the internet are just complete assholes.
Yeah.
You're like you're showing what it looks like in the moment. I don't think that's ever been really shown on like social platforms because it's something like we've been talking about. It's like this embarrassment of like, I look pregnant. I don't feel good. I look terrible. But like, I'm so freaking proud of you to post stuff like that because like you educated me of like, oh, like I'm not the only person that looks like I'm 5.5 months pregnant standing in my kitchen crying and debating whether I drink a giant Stanley of water or if I just say fuck it and if I drink like a Dr. Pepper. Like, you educated and like really helped me feel better that like I'm not by myself. I'm like, this shit happens.
Oh, well, I can't take all the credit. There's actually a few other ladies that really like dedicate their entire feeds to it. But thank you. I appreciate that. Like, I did it a lot for the reason that I get people that have misconceptions about me. And I've gotten this like a lot because I put myself in the whole like music and like film industry and modeling. And so people felt, I don't know what it is with people that like when you see somebody trying to be in the entertainment industry that they want to tear you up even more. I don't know why, or if you put yourself as an influencer, like you get it too. But it's like, oh, you want to be in the public eye? Like, I'm going to tear you down. But the meanest and most hurtful and inaccurate thing somebody had said to me, and I think you probably saw this, was when they were like, well, you don't have cancer, like blah, blah, blah. I like was like, are you serious? Like, I had 3 surgeries, one of even in my breast to make sure it wasn't cancer. And thank the stars it wasn't. But it's like, don't assume, like I do keep some things to myself, but I'm like, that was so hurtful because I'm like, are you really that uneducated? Like if somebody's having that many surgeries, what makes you think that I haven't had a scare, Yeah. And I have, and I was 18 years old and luckily it came back negative the second test, but it's like, there's just, stuff like that just drives me nuts where they're like, you're just doing this for attention. No, I just want people to stop thinking that my life is all sunshine and rainbows to me. It's like, it's not. I wish it was. That's the biggest thing too, but yeah.
Yeah, it's affected me with dating. I don't know if it's been the same with you because I like look back on my photo reel and I know that women are going to listen to this and be like, oh, I do that too. I'll like look back and I'm like, yeah, that was only like 2 years ago and I looked so much thinner. But then I sit and reflect and I was like 2 years ago mentally, like I was in a bad relationship. I was unhappy. I was not eating healthy. So I think it's like warping our brains of like, is what you looked like because you were thin? Were you in a healthy life scenario? Like mentally, physically, and emotionally, did everything kind of align and match up? Versus now, it's like, my mental health is great. Like, I've been working on myself a lot more. I've been really kind of deep diving. My physical health, shot to shit. But it was something too, like looking at it, like I've always been kind of embarrassed. Like I had a health scare. I had a mass in my breast that I really, really watched for years in college. And I was so embarrassed by it. I remember my boyfriend in college at the time, like the mass grew so rapidly that he found it and felt it. And I remember being so embarrassed. I was like, I'm never making out with my partner again. Like I have to go to a doctor. I went to so many different doctors, got biopsies done, and it's embarrassing. Like for those that are listening, like it's so hard. One of my girls just went to the doctor for a regular thing and she's like, dude, I had to pull my tit out in front of a dude. Like being a female is hard. Doesn't matter if it's a male, a female nurse, like it's freaking weird. And I had the mass on my 30th birthday removed and it came back with cancerous cells. It took up 2/3 of my breast tissue. And it's wild because now I do screenings regularly. Scares me. But even just now in this current relationship, like I have a scar. It's underneath, something about like yay long. But I never told my new partner. And I remember thinking like, is he going to like me? Is he going to think I'm like messed up? Am I broken? So I think with like our physical diagnosis that affect us, like it's hard because I don't even remember. I think we were just like chit-chatting about something on FaceTime. I was like, hey, by the way, if you see a scar under my boob, like this is what happened. Like it just like projectile vomited came out of my mouth at not even an appropriate time. And he was like, okay. And I was like, that's it. He's done. He's checked out. And he's like, I've never noticed that, but that's fine. He's like, you're a badass. And I was like, who? But then like, does this affect you dating with like your health as a female of like endometriosis or things that like affect you? Because for me right now, going through this new diagnosis of the possibility of MS, like as a female, we are emotional, but like we put that stuff aside. Maybe it's just me and I'm busted, but I feel like somebody doesn't want to be with a female that's like sick or broken. Do you feel like that?
I actually experienced that. So this should have been the most major red flag ever. And that we've talked about this before, but my last ex, We dated for about some months, broke up, got back together. When we actually broke up was when the same time I found out I had to have surgery to get the fibrinoma taken out of my chest. And that, you still don't know until they test it if it's cancerous or not. So like here I am telling this guy that, and I was already dealing with, pre like endometriosis, like stuff. I'd already had a surgery that, but I was telling him that I was having a surgery and then breaks up with me that day. Like I was like, literally that I was like, I just told this dude I have to have surgery. I just found out confirmed. And then literally breaks up with me and makes it seem like it's my fault. But I was like, wow, so thoughtful in my emotions. Yet I still worked out to this dude after that for a moment. Clearly, I was very insecure at the time. But I just like it really hurt because I had felt like, it's made some guys think it's like difficult, because there is the moods. It's not just the physical. And it's very unpredictable, as you know, too. So that's another thing is like, I don't know how I'm going to feel even sometimes in 2 hours, And so, yeah, when it comes to dating, that was hard. I've had most guys, though, look, because, men don't really understand periods. So they'll just like tell their friends, oh, yeah, Lauren's on her period, so she's not going to come out tonight, kind of stuff. Yeah. But, I've had them also be like, yeah, you've always had like issues and stuff. But that was one bad moment where I was like, wow, holy shit. Like I did feel a little bit abandoned and then, ended up begging for me back after that. But it caused a lot of insecurity because when I had that surgery done, like I have a scar, now on, I'm not going to tell people exactly where it is, but it's it's on a prominent spot. I don't know if I could, or maybe I can. I don't know. It's around. Yeah, I'm like, it's around the nipple, okay? So now I have this like cut scar around my left nipple. So that was, something I was insecure about for a while. And now I'm like, you know what? Like my scars have bothered me. But now I'm like, you know what? They're warrior scars. Like I've made it through some very scary moments, which I'm sure you can relate to. But you did bring up another thing, looking back at photos. And I'm guilty of doing that shit too, where I'm like, oh, but I was so skinny and like, I look so great. But then I'm like, wait, no, my health was 10 times worse. There's that misconception that people think like, oh, if she's 120 pounds, like, she's in the best health ever when I was actually having the worst period, worst body aches. Like I was really, really sick. Now, like, yes, I'm still a 5. I'm still figuring shit out as you are too. But mentally, yes, I agree. We're definitely a lot better than, and I was a hot mess. So
yeah, there's that like connection that I don't think us women really give ourselves credit for of the size and the weight. And I mean, I deep dive so badly of I have a scale in my house and then I got the scale that connected to my phone because I was like, oh, I want everything to be a smart house. I'm not even smart. Like the user guide operator is not smart because I will wake up in the morning. I've recently stopped. I need to just throw it in the trash. I need to just throw it in the trash. I do for the holiday. Because I look back and I'm like, wow, like my face is skinny because I carry everything in my cheeks all the time. Even looking at his podcast, I'll like always shift and angle myself because I'm like, oh, I don't like how I look. Like I pick myself apart. But we look at something and think like, oh, wow, I was skinnier, so I was healthy. I mean, I was like anorexic skinny. I mean, even to the point where it's embarrassing now because my best friend of like over 20 years, I remember her telling me like, if you don't stop this cardio running, you are bone. I'm not spending time with you anymore. You have a problem. And I remember being so angry at her that she pointed it out to me. I think I was like 21, 22. And I was mad. But like, I still get to the point where I look back and I think I look healthy. Even to the point, like, I will look back at photos and be like, even from like last year when I was like, single and not eating healthy and I wasn't in a good spot. I will purposely go. I'll admit to it. I just did it the other day. I saw a picture. I'm like, God, I looked so good. I went, this is so sick. And I went and put the same outfit on and took a picture of myself and did a comparison in my phone. Ooh, did that help me mentally? Hell no. Why did I do that? Don't know. Did it do anything? No. But then I like purposely had to tell myself, okay, you had a mental breakdown, you had a moment, get rid of the picture and like get rid of everything and like be done with it. And I actually threw the shirt out yesterday in the trash. Like that is how mentally involved it got me down that rabbit hole, which I think is normal, like with you, to normalize certain things that it's okay. Like if you don't feel good, you won't go out. I mean, you're in this dating realm in California that like you're, like you have so many places to go versus like, where I live here in Texas, that if you don't feel good, it's normalizing to say no. Like, I don't feel good. And I don't think we do that enough either. We're hard on ourselves.
Oh, very, very. And I mean, I'll be honest, like I'm supposed to go on a date on Sunday. But I haven't prioritized dating because I've really had to prioritize my mental health this year and even my physical health, like that, that's been like a job. But yeah, definitely it is tough, like the whole aspect. But I do take that as priority over the dating, I'll be honest.
Okay.
So like, yes, I probably could have found my dude weeks ago, but I've just been kind of like, I want to feel good. I want to meet them when I feel great. Because I will say, like, it's a first impression. And I definitely don't want guys to meet me when I'm feeling like shit. There's that. I'm like, you can meet me and see me when I feel like shit down the road, when we're a little more attached.
Right.
The first go around, I kind of want to make a good impression. That's for sure.
Yep. Well, I wanted to do this episode. It's spicy because we're talking about obviously female health, whether it's physical, mental, emotional. And I wanted this to air for the month of December because y'all, we're going through it. All of us. Then comes the holidays where you have to go to like parties and events and you're standing there like, should I eat this? Eat the freaking candy. If it makes you feel good, eat it. If it makes you feel bad, don't eat it. But it's something where I don't think that big pharma and even doctors and the medical community have really like caught up to like us as women, because the 4 leading aspects of cancer that are on the freaking rise right now for women, the first one is breast cancer, which so many people always think like, oh yeah, we guessed that. But I did a poll and asked, what do you think the 4 forms of cancer are that are leading in women's death? Everyone out the gate was able to say breast cancer. Easy. The other 3, they're like, and I think that's crazy because if we do men, it's always like heart attack, stroke, diabetes, obesity. Like we're able to like pop those off pretty quick when it comes to men. But with women, ours is so different. So breast is the first one. Lung cancer shocked me. That's the second one. I never would have thought that for women at all. Skin cancer was the third, which really, I probably wouldn't have put that in the game, but now you look at it and you're like, we all went to tanning beds, we all lay out in the sun, like we all put these weird chemicals from China on our skin on the daily just to like make a wrinkle disappear for an hour. Like we're into some weird shit. And then the fourth one was uterine and cervical cancer, which brings me to the last little, my little snippet, because this blew my mind, right? I'm going to ask you a question. And I'm interested to see what you think the age is, considering think about where we've been from like us as teens and birth control. And like you said, with the girls starting to like really hit puberty way earlier, they're having sex sooner. What do you think the average age is that the medical community thinks a female should start getting GYN care and pap smears?
Oh. Well, I already know that they've now changed the rules on the pap smears, which I really dislike, by the way. They're now saying like you don't need to get one every year, which you used to. And now they're saying like every like what, 5-10 years or something?
We'll dive into it. Depends on the age. They're stating every 3 years until you hit age 30 to 65. And then it goes to every 5. That's a big age gap, 30 to 65.
Which I completely disagree with, considering there's a rise in, endo and PCOS and uterine cancers. But again, I'm not, the main honcho in the medical field. But to answer your question, I just had to bring that up because I was like, that's where my brain is going, like trying to figure out the math. But I'm going to assume they're going to say 25.
21.
Okay, close ish.
So if you think about girls, right, that are sexually active and they're doing all of this stuff and they're, obviously in the episode coming up in December, it's interesting. You guys are going to have to tune in because it's like mind blowing. It talks about how you pick your partner based on bacteria and healthy bacteria that goes into your body. Like I'm talking, this shit is wild. It's so freaking cool. You'll have to check it out. It actually airs on Christmas Eve because it airs every Tuesday. But it's interesting to me because when, let's say you have, there's a friend of mine here in town and she's like, my 13-year-old daughter, I caught her like having sex and I didn't know she was having sex. And she's like, I have a 15-year-old and an 18-year-old. And I'm like, have they ever been to like a GYN? Not even just to like get a physical exam, but just to like talk. And she's like, no. So think about if you have a daughter, I hope to God you don't, if you're listening, it's like 13, because I swear to God, the way I would like have a nervous breakdown. But if you have a daughter and you think about, let's say they're stating now the average age for a girl to start being sexually active. You ready?
Oh, God.
13 to 14.
I was 15.
Yeah.
When I lost my virginity. But honestly, I was hoping to keep it till I was 18. So in fairness.
Yeah.
I was trying.
So you think like 13, let's say 13, we'll go to lower number, a 13-year-old. She's never going to go have a pap smear or have any form of GYN testing or health for her female health till she's 21.
See, that's not right because of the point you're bringing up. And two, like, yeah, I think back when I was having sex, I had to go to my pediatrician. I was still going to my pediatrician at that time. And I had a UTI. I got a UTI from having sex. Because again, they don't really teach you like, those things when you're that age. So I was like, how did I get this? What is a UTI? But yeah, I didn't really start going to an OBGYN until I was like 17, 18 years old because I was being taken out of school for really, really bad periods. And so eventually my mom's like, let me take you to my OB because my mom had issues, my grandmother's. But 21, like, if they're having sex, to me, in my opinion, whether you're having sex or not, I think you should definitely by 18 because you're going into college. So if you haven't had sex by 18, you're going to probably have sex not long after. But also, like, if these girls are having bad periods, again, if they're starting their periods at 9, 10 years old, I started having bad periods out the get-go, and I started at 13, 14. So, and losing my virginity hurt like hell, which a lot of other girlfriends said it didn't. So I'm like, those were all like red flags to be like, maybe I should go get checked out. So that's bullshit. I'm sorry, but I'm pouring bullshit on the medical community. That is wrong. I already don't agree with the pap smear thing. I've literally had to fight with the OBGYN to give me a pap smear one year because they're like, you don't need to do it this year. You just got it last year. I've had abnormal cells before, lady. Like, I got to protect myself. Like, I don't want to find out. Because that's another thing. A lot of people don't find out this shit unless something seems off. And, like, I think you need to be more preventative. I have a girlfriend that lives in my complex. Only way she found out she had breast cancer, bless her heart, she's, now in remission. She's doing great. But, like, was because she thought she had like an infection. She went to the doctor, then they were checking her breast while she was there and they found the lump. Had she not had that, well, it didn't turn out to be an infection, but like, it's just, nobody should have to find out that way. Like, there should be regular checks. So yes, I'm angsty. Don't mind me. I'm in my luteal phase. Speaking fart on court liquor.
I bring that up because I want to leave this episode with women listening to think like, okay, we're going to do a deep dive. And I don't believe that we have to do this at the start of January because it's a new year. Like, you don't have to have a date on the calendar like, oh, I'm going to start this on Monday or I'm going to start this at the beginning of the month. Like, start it now. We're in December. We're ending a month. So let's really take a look at our mental health as a female, our physical health, our emotional health. And I think it's important because as women, like, you may not know everything, right, about your female health. You may not know the questions to ask. You may not know, like, okay, well, I don't know. Okay, but does that mean you quit? Because you may not know anything about your vehicle, right? But when that light comes on that's like, hey, you need an oil change, and she don't go away on your dashboard until you physically go in and get it checked and get it taken care of, consider yourself that. We do this every 3,000 to 6,000 miles on our car. So why are we not doing this with our actual physical, mental, and emotional health? I know one big thing, obviously, I'm doing this because I want you guys to interact with us, right? Especially on this episode. We kind of dropped some breadcrumbs that we've got endometriosis, right? We've got lupus, we've got autoimmune, we've got possibility of MS. These are all brain, gut, GI, health connected, all the things. I'm doing this because starting next year, I want you guys to really take hold if you're listening to your female health in all aspects. But I want us to do a very first live stream Spicy Saturday episode coming in the next year. I want to hear you guys loud. I want you guys to talk in the comment section. I want you guys to share this. I want you guys to post it on your social media platforms because I want to invite you back with Lauren and myself. We're going to do a live episode in January or maybe February of 2025. I can't believe we're going in 2025. Like, what? But I want to do this because I seriously want it to feel that, like, number one, we're not crazy. Number two, we're not alone. But number three, take the next 30 or 60 days and consider that like you're going on a trip, right? You're putting the miles on your vehicle. Get yourself checked. Do the hard work. Find the insurances. There's a lot coming out in January for marketplace insurance. By the way, December 15th, I think is the cutoff. And do the work because I want all of us to come together as women and I want us to do a deep dive, especially Lauren with you and endometriosis and like all of these neuro things on my side. And I want to see on a live stream how we're really all interconnected because I think it's interesting that I think, like you said, we've seen the flags. We've seen red flags in men. We've seen the red flags along the way. So it's one, have we ignored it? Two, have we suppressed it? Or three, has the medical community, which we'll get into in that live stream, is the medical community not listening because they no longer know the answers to the questions that we're asking?
Yes. Or gaslighting because they don't want to deal with it.
Yep, exactly.
And I understand they're burnt out, but it's like, come on, So I agree with you. Everybody, don't disregard symptoms that you might think are alarming too, because I do think a lot of people will be like, oh, well, I only have an upset stomach like once a week. No, that's not normal. Like there are certain things where people are like, oh, but this is totally normal, right? It might not be. Get it checked. Like I was made to feel like a lot of my shit was normal. I had OBs tell me, oh, it's normal to have bad periods. It's normal to like feel emotionally erratic. No, it's not. I'm going to hear it vouch. It is not. And you're not alone. So yes, if you have to push a little bit, push.
Yep. Well, thanks again for stopping by Spicy Saturday. We didn't get too spicy, but it's because I want us to get spicy together. Man, that sounded really twisted. We're going to get spicy together in 2025 because I want to do a live stream. I think it's so important. So share this episode. If you're watching on YouTube, throw those information or questions in the comments. And we're here to support. We're here to be a sounding board because like that, I've learned so much from you educationally in what you're going through. I have started to kind of come out of my shell and post things here and there. I don't know. I think I've just been on this like, oh, you have to be perfect. No, the cardboard box I've been fitting in has been busted and there's no more tape. Like we're here. So I want you guys to really interact, share this episode, put it on your social platforms. Obviously Lauren's information is going to be in the bio description as well. Give her a follow. And then just start tagging us. I think maybe we'll make a hashtag coming up, but I think it would be really good to follow each other and tag both of us. Because I really want this to go viral and especially for the next year for this live stream, I cannot wait to get spicy with everybody in 2025.
Thanks for tuning in to this month's episode of Spicy Saturday Women Unfiltered. We hope you enjoyed our unfiltered take on today's topic.
Set those date reminders on the first Saturday of every month to catch our most candid conversations about the highs, lows, and everything in between.
Don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and share the spice with your friends. Stay unfiltered, stay fabulous, and we'll catch you all bold bitches on our next episode.